Welcome to Not-for-Pieters. I'm John Dougal. In prior videos, I've mentioned the term healthy boundaries several times, and today we're actually going to talk about specifically what does that mean, but we're going to look at it from the standpoint of dysfunctional boundaries. Few families are completely devoid of dysfunctional boundaries. Our behavior changes when life gets tough, and that's when we tend to slip up. In my household growing up, I think that was the case, and I don't want to badmouth my parents because they were actually pretty good parents, but I grew up and I didn't really quite understand what healthy boundaries were all about, and so that leads to some poor behavior. Well, I first encountered the concept of boundaries, several years back, and it was such a revelation at the time. I thought, hey, healthy boundaries, they ought to be taught in high school across the nation because it's just so important. It helps not only treat people well, but also to treat yourself well, and it's a sign of maturity. The relationships can be any type. It could be husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, friend to friend, or coworker to coworker. There's lots of possibilities. We're going to use the book by Cloud and Townsend, Boundaries, as our reference. It's an excellent book. I highly recommend it, and it covers far more than the little bit that we're going to look at today, but it'll give you a taste. And for starters, what we're going to do is we're going to look at 4 types of people who do not do well with boundaries. Okay, the first one is a compliant type. And compliance refers to changing one's behavior at the request or direction of another person. These are people pleasers. And such a person may have the option to refuse, but typically they choose to comply. So they're constantly sucking it up and doing things that they don't want to do. All right, and then there's the flip side of that, the controlling types. Controlling people enjoy having power and asserting power over others. And there can be 2 methods to that, overt or covert. An overt controller can be intimidating, overbearing, domineering, bullying in their ways to want to get people to do what they want. The covert controller is a lot more subtle. They're manipulative, and they use a wide variety of techniques. They can deny the truth, they can lie, they can badger. They can, vilify people, projecting, shaming, and the like. It's really kind of a nasty way to be. It's subtle and it's designed to wear you out and get you to capitulate. Well, then there's the non-responsive types. And non-responsive behavior refers to situations when individuals fail to respond or engage adequately in a relationship on an emotional level. And the behavior might manifest as consistently ignoring others, failing to acknowledge requests, displaying, apathy, or otherwise making it difficult for others to connect at an emotional or intellectual level. And then the 4th type is the avoidant type. And avoidant individuals are characterized by their tendency to avoid emotional closeness and to dismiss the importance of caring for others, often as a self-protective measure. Well, if you put these 4 types in a table, then you can ask and answer the questions. What happens with a person who can't say no? What happens with a person who can't hear no? What happens with a person who can't say yes? And then what happens with a person who can't hear the words yes? Well, can't say no. The compliant feels guilty or controlled by others and can't set boundaries to say no. They tend to get overcommitted. They get cranky and resentful from all the times that they said yes when they didn't want to. On the flip side of that, busy and productive people know the importance of being able to say no because they know that they can't do it all. They prioritize and do what is most important for themselves and for those close to them. So they know how to say no. All right, let's look at can't hear no. In sales, there's a saying that no means maybe and maybe means yes. It's the mindset of someone who likes to win, who crosses the line into controlling behavior. Controlling personalities do not hear the word no, so the controller aggressively or manipulatively violates boundaries of others to get what they want, regardless of what's in the best interest of the other person. Can't say yes. While the non-responsive set boundaries against the responsibility to love, they fail to respond or engage adequately in the relationship on an emotional level. They always want to be left alone. In Proverbs 18 it says, "A man who isolates himself seeks his own desire." Well, the non-responsive fails to give and to care because he's preoccupied with what he wants. And then can't hear yes. The avoidant sets boundaries against receiving care from others, and this is a bad situation. Jesus said it's more blessed to give than to receive. And we give or show care for another, we feel good, and we want to repeat the act. There's a bonding that takes place where, you've done something to somebody else and you see the impact of it, and so you enjoy it and you want to do more. That's a good thing. Well, an avoidant type kills this whole process. And maybe it's from self-sufficiency, maybe it's from pride. The Apostle Peter once, when Jesus was going to wash the disciples' feet, he wouldn't allow Jesus to do it. And Jesus scolded him and said, basically, you don't have any part of me if I don't wash your feet. Well, that straightened Peter out straight away. And the point is that by killing another person's good that they want to do, it's an affront and it harms the other person. Well, in summary, interpersonal boundaries are the limits and rules that people set for themselves in relationships. And healthy boundaries account for, what we should give, what we should receive, what we shouldn't give, and what we shouldn't receive. I've spoken before on the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual for Global Assessment of Functioning, or GAF. And high-functioning, mature people demonstrate no dysfunctional behavior. They have good sociability. They're resilient to the troubles of life. And in their relationships, they set healthy boundaries and treat others as they would have these others treat themselves. And they know the importance of both giving and receiving, and they value these relationships that are mutually beneficial. That's why people with healthy boundaries score higher on the Global Assessment of Functioning. So it's something we can aspire to, and it's the kind of people you'd like to have around you. Well, I hope you appreciate the benefits of healthy boundaries, and I've only covered a couple of high points. Go out and get a copy of Cloud and Townsend's book, Boundaries. I think you'll really enjoy it. It's one of my favorites on sort of a self-improvement, and you can find it on Amazon. If you've enjoyed today's video, consider giving it a like and sharing it with friends. It's simple acts like this that really help the channel. Cheers.